Kia ora, how's it going? Welcome to Season 3 of Rural New Zealand. I'm your host, Scotty, and join me as we check out what's happening throughout Canterbury. Now, I just want to say a big thanks to Gordon for filling in, steadying the ship while I was away. Big ups, mate. Thank you very much. But anyway, on this week's episode, we meet two girls riding around New Zealand on horseback. Ironman show off a new ute, but first we learn more about our sponsor, Carrfields. The Carrfields story is a great one. Like many family-operated businesses, it all started from one humble beginning.
It started in the 70s. After a period of time, I did my mechanics apprenticeship and moved into sales, and during part of that I was actually carting small bales of hay, and continued that through the 70s. And then moving through into the mid-80s, we purchased a large square baler. And this again took away the hassle of cutting small squares, where a lot of the hill country farmers could either make their hay into one big bale rather than the whole of the small squares, and actually be able to transport them themselves and put them in the sheds. Things were changing quick through the 80s. I mean, it was tough times in the 80s for people, and for me it was actually about trying to supplement my farm income, and that was part of the reason for the contracting. We had bought land in the 80s, early 1980 actually for a start, and then in 1983 we increased that, and interest rates were high, and actually trying to make things work in those days, just surviving off a farm was very difficult. So for me it was actually trying to get out, make some money off farm to actually be able to continue farming. All our children were born between 78 and 84, and the children were always involved in whatever I was doing or my wife was doing on the farm. So they've been very much part of the business from the day they could really walk.
The culture here at Carrfields is very family orientated, hard-working, dedicated, and enjoy having a bit of fun at times too.
The relationships that we have had with customers dates back to the days that Greg founded the business. I think that that continued support that we give the customers, the fact that the directors are there doing business alongside our employees is important, and I think that we live the values that we set for the business.
I started in the business in late 1996 on a year break from school to university, and started in our seed store at that time, car contracting seed store, and started working in the seed store, getting to know that business and further learning about it, seeing how we could improve it, developing it, and didn't go to university and carried on in that business. In 2000 we bought Winslow Feeds, a local feed mill, to further expand the business in terms of animal feeds, and we really caught the wave of the dairy boom in Canterbury and developed a business of calf feeds, dairy feeds. In 2007 we purchased Canterbury seed after exiting from our seed store operation in 2005, and really set about building an international seed business, acquiring a few other companies along the way. In 2014 the company was looking for the next range of expansion, as we wanted to further get into the livestock business, and the opportunity to purchase the Elders business in New Zealand came about. With the acquisition of Elders came the name change, and hence today the new brand of Carrfields. Today the company of Carrfields employs around 450 people, primarily across New Zealand, but we do have people in Ethiopia, India, and a few contract people in parts of America and Australia. Our grain and seed business is really diverse. We supply seeds and chemicals right across New Zealand, but also have a large exporting business, exporting to over 40 countries around the world. We have a fully owned subsidiary in India called Winseed Agri, which we employ around 15 to 20 people, and we have further growth plans to develop this in the coming years. Our business today consists of machinery division, being the Class Harvest Centre Canterbury, which is based over the Greater Canterbury region. We have a branch in Timaru, a branch in Ashburton, Christchurch, Hokitika, and a new branch to be established in Waipara in the coming months. This business represents some of the world-renowned brands of Class, JCB, Amazon, and a number of other family machinery products that are imported from around the world. In the last 2 years, we also entered the irrigation business by being the importer for TL for New Zealand and also AirTech for New Zealand. By entering irrigation, this has given us a real opportunity to further add products and services to our clients that will create ongoing efficiency and productivity through the use of water. With the Elders acquisition came the Elders livestock business, now Carrfields Livestock. This business has around 120 agents spread right across New Zealand and sale yard facilities also. In this business we do on-farm auctions, we do on-farm buying. We also have a live export joint venture business with Elders Australia, exporting animals to new homes around the world. With the purchase of Elders became the opportunity to buy into Elders Primary Wool, which is a joint venture between Primary Wool Cooperative and now ourselves. We offer the service of private buying, auction services for farmers. We also have 11 wool stores, which are spread right in the heartland of the main sheep areas of New Zealand. Carrfields Primary Wool has a wholly owned wool exporting division called Wool Exports New Zealand. It also has a wool marketing division which owns the brand Just Shorn. Just Shorn is our added value wool brand, which at this stage has a full carpet range that's available in New Zealand, Australia, and a new range soon to be launched in the USA, with further opportunities to expand this brand through other wool innovation products and ideas. Our founding business, the contracting business, is still a key part of our business today, providing on-farm contracting services such as baling, silage chopping, transport, and other associated contracting services. So at Carrfields, we're really excited about the future. We're really excited about what the opportunity is for us to continue to grow. We have a real opportunity over the next few years to really optimise the assets we've bought and really build on bringing together all of these businesses together as the Carrfields brand. As a family, we want to continue to grow, we want to continue to be privately held, and we really want to further expand on our business both in New Zealand and on the international stage. Being a family business, I think, has a real advantage. Today we're one of the only stock and station family-owned companies in New Zealand, and I think we've got a really unique opportunity to further expand on that with being a family business. The family values are really important in developing the business, and actually engaging with our people.
Having family members you can work with is great. I mean, it's something, if you can achieve that, it can give your children the opportunity of a job and maybe a business down the track. I mean, I think you've actually achieved something, and I guess that's always a parent's goal, isn't it, to be able to do that.
It's great to have on board the guys from Carrfields. Now, after the break on rural New Zealand, we're horsing around Aotearoa with two lovely girls. Kia ora, welcome back to rural New Zealand. A few months ago I caught up two lovely ladies who are circumnavigating New Zealand on horseback. Cruising along the inland road from Kaikoura to Hamner Springs, I caught up with two girls who are on horseback.
I'm Kendall, and this is Larissa. We call ourselves horsing around Aotearoa, and we are circumnavigating New Zealand on horseback. We're fundraising for a charity called the Leg Up Trust.
Like any good story, it started with a crazy idea.
Crazy idea.
Yeah.
Basically we said let's buy a horse together, and then within an afternoon it escalated to let's ride
Riding
horses around
the country.
Yeah, one thing leads to another.
Yeah, see if it is possible.
Yeah. Well, what's been sort of the most challenging part of the journey so far?
It's a toss-up between physical challenges, like sometimes being on really rough tracks and really rainy days like yesterday, or getting lost sometimes. And then it's also a massive mental challenge being out for so long.
Like any presenter will tell you, never work with animals.
Sorry, I'm gonna
Mind the horse.
horses, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would want one?
Who would have? It's a daily saying in our world.
What have been some highlights, I suppose, from your trips?
Meeting all the people.
People, yeah.
We meet lots and lots of people every day, and everyone is incredibly nice and generous and
interesting. Some of the places we get to go has been a real highlight for me. Like a lot of farmland that most people never go on or can't get access to. We've been through a few places that no one's usually ever allowed to go, and they've given us special permission. Yeah. And quite a lot of secret spots that people just don't know exist. Random little hideaways, little bays on the coast.
And the Leg Up Trust, do you want to tell us sort of more about that?
Yep.
Yeah, so basically they pair horses with troubled kids, and quite often these kids, they don't really want to deal with or talk to humans anymore. They've had guts full of that, and most humans have disappointed them. And so the horses are really good at getting through to them. Most of them haven't been around horses before.
Very much about building a positive relationship with something.
Yeah.
They haven't had that before. Any animal or person that needs a helping hand, Roz is a very wonderful woman and just says, that's me, I'll help. So she does wonderful work there.
Yeah. And if people of this fine land would like to donate to you guys?
The easiest thing to do is if you Google horsing around Aotearoa, everything comes up. The website, the Facebook page, and the Give a Little page, and it's got everything on it. Or if you see us out on the road, Sprite, if you can see it, she's wearing a donation box as well, so we'll gladly take coins and shrapnel.
Life's a journey, but this is an extended one.
In total, we've done
just over halfway, so
maybe 3,700
about 3,700 now.
We average sort of between 25 and 35 kilometres a day.
Yeah, and we started from Hawke's Bay, so we've come down from Hawke's Bay to Wellington and then crossed over and done almost the whole South Island now. Yeah. And then we've still got most of the North Island to go. Yeah. When we finish this trip, eventually, it looks like it'll take one more summer to go. Yeah. About 6 or 7 months of riding to go. We should be the first people that have ever done the coastline of New Zealand before. Yeah. So we've figured out there's a reason. Yeah. Got to keep things interesting. So. Yeah. Dare to be different.
Not many people can withstand the cold temperatures down in the sub-Antarctic islands, but one man's been down there many times and he's wrote a book about his trips.
Well, I'm Matt Vance. I'm the author of Ocean Notorious. It's a book about my experiences going south, that is south from Bluff, New Zealand, all the way down into the Ross Sea, and it's a book about the Southern Ocean, basically.
And how did you get the inspiration to create this book?
I've spent almost 14 years going south in one way or other, and it's just the history and the science and the natural history and the people you meet just slowly accumulate on you, and there's nothing but you have to write it down or you have to tell people about it. And so I've picked up sort of peculiar little bits along the way. It's not an absolutely thorough history of the Southern Ocean. What it is a thorough history experienced through my eyes, and so that's sort of how I came about it and how it sort of came on board. It's just purely my experiences.
Yeah, and a few of those experiences, did that happen while you were working down there?
Yeah, most of them I've worked mostly down there, so most of the experiences are all from that and people that I met, and also histories that you run into, like when you go places you see a history and then you read the story about it afterwards, and it's always interesting to sort of see the place in the flesh and hear about these stories and go into the detail behind these stories. The first experience I had of the Southern Ocean was when I was 7 years old and I was on the ferry coming back from Stewart Island, and it was the old Wairua, it was a really old tub of a boat, and we left in a big screaming sou'wester, and there was a huge sea running through Fovo Strait, and it's quite a shallow strait, so the seas stand up, and I remember looking out the window and seeing this wave, and it was the biggest wave I've ever seen in my life, and it had white caps on it and they were all horizontal, and it looked like a hill, like one of these hills around here with buildings on it. And I'd never seen anything like it, and it was a mix of fear and absolute fascination at the same time, and that was, I think, when I got hooked on the Southern Ocean.
How long did you spend researching all this?
Luckily it's accumulated history for me, like I've picked up these stories over those 14 years. If I had to do it from scratch, it would have been a long read. I would have spent probably at least a year or two reading straight up, but luckily I didn't have to do that because a lot of these I knew the stories. It was just a matter of going to find the correct reference. So yeah, accumulated over a long period of time.
Is there any stories in the book or anything yourself that you experienced that really stands out, that's a highlight?
I think the first time I went to Antarctica and I went by ship, is something else. It's like leaving the planet by staying on it, and to go by ship you actually see how Antarctica and the Southern Ocean work together. You go south of New Zealand through all the wildlife of the subantarctics, and then you drop south of there through the convergence zone, and as you get close to Antarctica there's just no life at all, just slowly gets whipped off, and what life there is very concentrated. And I think the first time seeing the Ross Sea and seeing frozen sea ice and seeing icebergs from the deck of a ship, it was something else, and something you'll never forget.
Because it must be quite cool, especially like some of the animal life and that, coming up and close and personal with something like an animal that may have never even seen a person or a boat in its life. Yep,
it's like the way New Zealand used to be before people got here. And when you think about the Snares Island, which is probably as big as, say, a little Auckland suburb, say it's as big as Ponsonby suburb, but it's got more birds on it than the whole of the British Isles combined. So that's just the volume of life is unbelievable. And that's basically there because the convergence zone is bringing up nutrients off the sea floor. And so there's a lot of food around, and of course there's no predators, or very few predators, and humans aren't there. So for that reason the wildlife's just phenomenal. And of course as you go further south of there it gets harder and harder for life to hang on.
You mentioned earlier like Antarctica's been flogged. I mean there's stories and stories and everyone knows this, and this point of difference, it's about those other places.
It's the ocean, yeah. It's the bit in between, and Antarctica wouldn't work without the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean is the only ocean on the planet that goes right around the Earth and non-stop. And for that reason it moves a lot of water. It moves more water than all the streams and rivers in the world combined. It has most of the weather-making factors that this planet survives by. It contains much of the life, or the aquatic marine life that this planet holds. So it's a very, very important ocean in terms of the future of the planet. All my books are written part-time, and I have kids so I have to do it at night and early in the morning. But it's well worth it, and you can't do it yourself. So I have a really good team at Arwa Press who help me, and a really good family who back me up. So without those, you couldn't write a book like this. And you couldn't write a book like this without the experience of. It would be very hard to write unless you'd been there yourself.
Join us after the break on Rural New Zealand as we test out some Ironman 4x4 equipment with Vince. Kia ora, welcome back to Rural New Zealand. Now for those farmers out there that need a hard-working ute, Ironman has some solutions. Oh Vince, it's a beautiful day in the Rakai Gorge once again.
Certainly is, Scotty, yeah, a bit better than last time we were here, I think.
Yeah, it's not snowing, which is quite nice for the body and mind and soul and everything. But we're not here to talk about the weather, are we?
No.
Now, I believe some farmer just down the road's purchased a brand new ute and he came to you to kit it out.
Absolutely, Scott, yeah. So given the country we're in here, it's pretty rough. We're sort of high country, tussock and Matagari, so the old standard truck struggles a wee bit to get around. So yeah, we do a full fit out job for a lot of the new trucks on the market, and this is one example.
Cool. And what have you done to this ute?
Right. Okay. So basically, we've taken it and we've taken the bumper off and put a full replacement bull bar on it. So it's a steel bull bar. It's fully winch and airbag compatible, and that's given us very good approach angles. So we've taken that lower section off the bumper, so we can get around the rough country a bit more without bashing up underneath and things. So that's one of the first things we've done to it. Next, we've put a set of side steps and rails on it. So the beauty of this is if you are bashing around the farm and you slide down a bank and hit it or something, you've got all this protection. So you've got a side protection for your guards and your headlight, and you've also got a full step down the side here. So that's access into the truck as well as protection underneath, and that's a very strong system that's mounted to the chassis and gives you all that side protection as well. So great if you've got cows to nudge, or as I say, if you slide down a bank and hit something sideways, you've got a protection on the side of your car. The other thing that we've done to this truck is put in some suspension, so that's given us a bit of lift, so about 45 mil, so almost 2 inches of lift. That's a heavy duty suspension, so again, if you're on rough country where you're doing a lot of articulating and your suspension's working hard, we've put a heavy grade suspension in there to do that. That's also allowed us to lift the vehicle up, so it gives it more ground clearance, and also gives it a better contact with the wheels on the ground, so that if you do get your wheels up and down like that, we've got longer travel shock absorbers in there, and that's allowed those tyres to get contact with the ground, so you don't get stuck as often as well. Cool. And then with that we can go to a bigger tyre as well, because we have lifted the truck a wee bit, so we've put a mud tyre on it, we've put a new rim on it, and that's again given us a bit more ground clearance. It's also given us a nice option for mud tyres as well, because a lot of the vehicles come on some interesting size rims, and we've gone back to a nice 16-inch rim where we can put a good value mud tyre on it too. So. And
at the back of the vehicle, what have you done to around here?
Yeah, so we've put a new deck on this truck, so taken the wheel side off and put a flat deck on it. So as a result, it's going to carry some fairly heavy loads. So again, we've upgraded the rear suspension. So we've put a whole new leaf spring in there, and that's rated again for carrying the heavier weight. So if you had a load of posts on the back of your truck, the truck wouldn't be sitting down too much, so it's got a nice heavy spring in it. It's also again given it that lift, so giving you that ground clearance for off-road, and matched to that is some heavy duty shock absorbers that give you the extra travel for that as well. So basically the ability to carry good heavy loads because you've got a big deck on it, still giving you a very nice ride because it's a two-stage spring, and some nice heavy duty shock absorbers to match it.
So the interior of the vehicle, how do you guys kit these things out?
Well, basically the big thing is the seat covers. If you're in and out of your truck on the farm every day, your seats get a real pounding, and it's all form fitted and with a side airbag approved stitching on them as well. So yeah, so that's a really good feature, nice heavy duty seat covers that can take a pounding in and out every day.
Bit of a hazard in front of us?
Yeah, so this is where the old bumper would have caught up and get torn off, so with that extra ground clearance there we can just whip over that, no trouble at all.
Perfect. And we're not even stuck, are we?
No.
We can just easily reverse off it?
Yeah, that's what the beauty of the whole thing is. We can put it in reverse even. So yeah, we just back off, but as I say, that would have been a ripped off front bumper on the old previous model.
Back to the old panel shop.
Yeah.
They'll be rubbing their hands together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't even worry it, does it?
Hardly a challenge.
A few rocks in this one?
Yeah, it's always the way. You get a few that sort of roll off the hill at some stage, so this is where the old ground clearance is pretty important. You really want to make sure you can don't scratch the underneath of your truck.
Yeah. Seems to be doing pretty well so far.
Yeah, no, it makes all that difference, that suspension, get those wheels on the ground.
It's a nice sort of soft ride, but you still feel comfortable, don't you?
Yeah, it does, yep.
Well, thanks for watching us in rural New Zealand this week. I certainly hope you enjoyed the show. Just remember to give us a like on Facebook, and if you have missed an episode, you can watch it on demand. Catch you guys next week when we're down in Timaru as we check out the talent at the grand final for the Young Farmer of the Year. See you then.